Before you make the biggest financial decision of your life, buying a home, you're going to want to know the biggest mistakes that could cost you and haunt you for years. This video, I'm going to share with you the biggest regrets that home buyers face. And I'm also going to give you tips on how to avoid these mistakes so you too will not have these regrets. So let's get started. The last 4 years has been pure insanity. I know. Buyers were doing anything they could to get the home.
I love this house!
I get it. But now people have a lot of regrets about these decisions, and it really kills me. I feel really bad about that. The market is starting to slow down a little bit in certain areas. So homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer. Prices are starting to come down. Sellers are willing to negotiate a little bit more. So we're in a better position. But I want to share with you the regrets that buyers have had to help educate you so you won't have to face those regrets yourself. And this is also to help you make a good decision regarding your real estate transactions, whether you're buying or selling. So let's get into these regrets. Okay, the first one, of course, the biggest regret is overpaying for the home. A lot of people feel like they've overpaid for their home. Now, over the past 4 years, I totally understand that because of the competitive market, prices were driven up. I know, I get it. I understand that. But if this is your forever home, okay, if you're going to be in this house for, say, 15 to 20, 25 years, what have you, you are going to recoup that. Okay, so if you look at the real estate market historically, it does have its peaks and it does have its correction periods. Now, are we going into a correction right now? Yes, in some markets, we are seeing a correction, steep corrections, depending on where you are in the country. Some markets are seeing it more so than others, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way forever. The real estate market always rebounds. So if you're going to be in this house, like I said, 15, 20, 25 years, you are going to recoup that value if the value does go down. You know, we have a correction period, what have you. Do not panic and obsess over that. And here's another piece of advice. Do not, for the love of God, do not go on Zillow to check your Zestimate the day after you close on your house and then check it, every day for the next year. I know of people that have done this and it just stresses them out. First of all, Zestimates are not accurate. I've said it. You all know how I feel about Zillow.
Thanks for the heads up.
So please do not go on Zillow to look at your Zestimate because you're going to see one day it's up, the next day it's down. Do not look at it. It's not a reliable source. You have to focus on the fact that you got into a home, you bought your home, you love your home, enjoy it, live in it. Don't stress about whether the market's going to crash. You're going to make that money in the long term when you go to sell it many years down the road. Another regret that buyers have was compromising on space. Yes. So people were just buying a house, not thinking about the living space, the number of bedrooms, the amount of storage that the home had. So buyers were realizing that, this house isn't going to accommodate all of my furniture or my lifestyle, or the fact that, we're planning on having more kids and we don't have enough bedrooms. The one thing I will say to this, that don't be honed in on just one style house with a certain number of bedrooms and a certain number of bathrooms. I know some people will say, I just want a 3-bedroom house. I don't need any more than that. If there is, say, a 4-bedroom house that's for sale, that's in your budget, don't rule it out, because you may end up using that space. You have to think about the future needs too. What if one day you decide you're going to work from home, or if you're going to start a business, you're going to need a home office, or if you are planning on expanding your family, or you need a guest room because you have your parents visiting if they live out of state, or any family you're going to come visit, you may need that guest room. Also, when it comes to storage, look at the basement. Even if the basement's unfinished, down the road you can finish it and you can make that more living space. You can make your home office in the basement. Don't be stuck on that. I only want this amount of bedrooms and this amount of bathrooms. If you see something a little bit bigger that is in your budget, I would consider it, because you never know. You may need that extra space. Another regret that people had was regarding their mortgage. Yes, this is a big one. People didn't realize that you can shop out rates. I've seen it with buyers a lot of times, that they have a relationship with the bank where they do all their banking. They're like, I'm going to do my mortgage with that bank or that credit union. I'm not going anywhere else. Don't be honing in on just the bank that you do business with. You're allowed to shop out these rates. You can contact a mortgage broker who can shop out the rates for you to find you the best rate. You can shop it out yourself. Don't feel like you have to commit to the bank that you've been doing business with for 20 years. You don't have to, because if their interest rate isn't that great, go find someone else who has a better rate. I just wanted to take a quick second to let you know that if you are in need of a real estate agent in your part of the country and you can't find one, click the link down below in the description box, fill out the form, and I will get back to you within 24 hours. I'm connected to tons of agents around this country, and I would be happy to help get you connected to one in your market. Another thing that buyers didn't do, I'm not speaking for all buyers, but some of them, they're not fully understanding all of the costs associated with obtaining a mortgage. Now, here's a quick story for you. I had somebody who commented on my channel recently on one of my live streams. They purchased a property for $95,000 and their closing costs were $7,000. $7,000. Now, typically, like on a $500,000 house, I've seen closing costs around $10,000, give or take $10,000. $7,000 on a $95,000 purchase, and I was like, that's odd. Like, what does your closing disclosure say? Well, they went back and looked at their closing disclosure, only to find out that majority of the fees, the most expensive fees, were coming from the title company. Here's my advice. When you're working with, whether it be your bank, mortgage broker, what have you, ask them for an estimate of the closing costs when you're starting the process. Okay. Once you lock in on that rate, you're starting the process, get an idea of what the closing costs are going to be, so you're prepared for that. Right before closing, you're going to get notified of what the costs, the final closing costs, are going to be. Sometimes they may be higher. And I've seen this happen quite a bit, where my clients have come back to me and they're like, my closing costs are way higher than they told me in the beginning. Go back and question that. You have every right to. This is a very important thing that people need to be doing. You need to be asking questions and advocating for yourself. So a good lender, a good mortgage broker is going to walk you through that process. And if you have any questions, they're going to help you with that. They're going to answer that. So challenge everything. If something doesn't look right to you, go back and question it. Go back and ask them, like, what is this fee for? What is this about? Don't be afraid to do that. So to avoid that regret, that's the advice I have for you there. The next regret is that buyers regretted not doing a thorough inspection. How many times have I talked about this? It drives me nuts. I'm still hearing today in my market, people are still waiving inspections. Why? I don't get this. Fortunately now, like I said earlier, the market is starting to slow down a little bit. Sellers are willing to negotiate a little bit more. Do not waive your inspections. Do not feel that you have to waive your inspections. And here's another piece of advice, because they say thorough inspection here. People regretted not doing a thorough inspection. If a home inspector notices that there could be a potential problem with, say, the foundation, with the electrical, with the chimney, they look in the chimney and they see that there's something wrong with the chimney liner, and they suggest to you to get another professional in there to evaluate those things, take that advice from that home inspector. I know it's going to cost a few $100 extra, but trust me, that'll be money well spent, because you can determine if there are major problems with the house, and then you can walk away. Because if you ignore that and say, oh, it's fine, we'll deal with it, we're going to buy it as is, you could save yourself thousands of dollars by doing these extra inspections with, again, a structural engineer, chimney person, electrician, what have you. Spend a few $100s. Look, I know it's expensive, and that's money that you could potentially lose because you walk away from the house. But wouldn't you want to walk away from a potential money pit? That's what I would want to do. I wouldn't want to be stuck with that. Another regret that people had was not fully understanding the home's resale value. Okay, what do we mean by this? So say somebody bought a home, wasn't in the best location. You've heard me talk about this. If it backs up to a highway, if it's on a busy road, if it's, it backs up to an industrial area, or, your backyard is facing the parking lot of like a shopping center, and people will ignore that and say, I love the house. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to spend all the money. I don't care. You got to think about the future and the resale of that property. I tell clients this every single time. They love a house. They love it, love it, love it. The location is like, no, it's not. It's not good. How is that going to be down the road when you go to sell that house? Listen, you all know real estate, it's all about location, right?
Power is a lot like real estate. It's all about location, location, location. The closer you are to the source, the higher your property value.
So you really need to understand when you're walking into this, you're going to be buying this house. If that location is not ideal, mm, you want to avoid a regret, I'd walk away from it. I don't care how much you love the house. Speaking of location, this is another big regret to add on to this, not just talking about resale, but physical location, not just located on a busy road or near a highway, anything like that, like location regarding like commuting to your job. Okay, so now a lot of people are called back into the office. And what I see a lot of times, what people were doing is they were going on Google Maps, they were looking at the address of the home they were going to purchase, and they put the address of their job to see how long that commute would be. That's not the most accurate thing either. If you want to get like a real idea, a true idea of what that commute is going to be, drive the commute. Go to that address and then drive to your job to see exactly how long that's going to take. If you can do it during rush hour, even better, because it'll really give you an accurate picture of what your daily commute is going to be like. Because I hear this a lot and people complain. Now, here where we are, I'm in northern New Jersey. A lot of people commute to New York City. And people always say, oh, you can be in New York City 45 minutes to an hour. Not all the time, depending on what town you're from. And if you have to take a train or a bus, there's always traffic. Realistically, I would tell people I would count more to like an hour and a half to get into New York City because of the traffic and even the trains. The trains aren't reliable all the time. Do the commute. Make sure that you can live with that commute before you commit to buying that house, or you're going to have regrets for the rest of the time you're living in that house.
I totally agree.
So the point of this was, again, is to help you make good, educated decisions on your real estate transactions. And if you want to know why renters who became homeowners regret becoming homeowners, you got to watch this right over here. You're going to learn a lot from that one. Thank you so much for watching me today to get your dose of real estate reality. My name is Jackie Baker, and I will see you next time.